Hi, I'm Jeff Faulkner again. This is the seventh and possibly the final and concluding video. Now, through this series of videos, I've been trying to give people ideas that can help them when they're reading the Book of Mormon to follow along where the accounts are given where they actually take place and make the narratives in the Book of Mormon come to life. And wrapping it up now, I'd like to go back to what I said in the very first video, that the Lord works in symmetry. And this book, the sacred text, the Book of Mormon, is pervasively symmetrical. The literary style is largely chiastic. The land of promise is symmetrical. There's a land northward, a land southward, and a narrow neck of land in between. When I first read the Book of Mormon, almost 60 years ago, I thought that Lehi landed down here on the coast of Ecuador or Peru, and that this was the narrow neck of land, Central America, and then that the land of Zarahemla was down there, land of Nephi south of that, and that they came up here and they went across the United States and up to New York. This, of course, is where the prophet Joseph Smith was led by the angel Moroni to find the golden plates that contained the abridgment that we know as the Book of Mormon. Now, there are many theories about where the Book of Mormon took place, and I want to give the usual disclaimer that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints does not take any official position on the geographical setting of the Book of Mormon. There are some people who think it all happened in western New York State and around in there. It's called the Near Cumorah theory. Phyllis Carroll Olive is the main proponent of that. There's the Heartland theory, where they think it was the eastern part of the United States, from the Mississippi eastward and up to the Great Lakes. But there are several criteria that are not met by any of these. The hemispheric model, which I thought was the true model when I was a kid. The Near Cumorah, the Heartland, they all break down because they don't meet the big criteria. And the number one overriding criteria, I think, is the narrow neck of land, the isthmus. There has to be an isthmus, and there has to be a great land northward and a great land southward. There has to be a sea west that runs the full length, the entire length of the Book of Mormon region, the sea west. Now, these other theories have no sea west. Heartland theory has no sea west. It's not the Mississippi, that's a river. There's no sea west of the Mississippi River. There's many places in the Book of Mormon where it talks about the sea west. So you have to have a sea west. And of course there's a sea east. And the Book of Mormon region is narrow. It's a narrow neck of land, like even Isaiah started talking about it as a narrow region, a straight and narrow. And the descendants of these Book of Mormon peoples would migrate up into the land northward, way up into the land northward in the last days, toward the time of the return of Jesus Christ, he having visited them down here after his resurrection. Okay, now, so there's an early question came up about the compass and about direction systems. As you can see, the nation of Mexico has a kind of a curlicue shape around here, and around this isthmus, the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, or in the Book of Mormon, the narrow neck of land, it appears to be oriented east and west, but it talks about the land northward and the land southward. Well, the greater land northward is North America, the greater land southward is South America, but in this region here that we're concerned with, where the Book of Mormon setting is, I believe, you have an east-west lineup here, but the Nephite people, the Nephite saga begins with Lehi's landing on coastal Guatemala, and they move up to the land of Nephi and people this land. Then they move down through the Grijalva River Basin, across the isthmus, and up to Cumorah. And there's a 45-degree line that describes their entire cycle, their entire period of existence. Their travail, their period of travail, from Lehi's landing to the destruction at Cumorah. And also in this region, the Mesoamerican region, the peoples of this region from earliest times, beginning with the Olmec who peopled this region up here in the land northward, and later moved down around to the isthmus, they did not use our direction system, north, south, east, west. To them, east is where the sun rises. And the sun describes an arc and a wedge of 45 degrees from summer solstice to winter solstice, because the Earth's axis is tilted 23 degrees to the ecliptic plane. So the sun travels back and forth, and this is the east, where the sun rises. This is the west, where the sun sets. And this is the land northward, going clear up to the United States and Canada, northern Mexico. So this is northward, this is southward, this is eastward, this is westward. This was their direction system. Now, another problem that had just came to my mind with these other models is they do not have an ancient, earlier civilization in their land northward. There is nothing like that in Canada. There's nothing like that around the Great Lakes. No high civilization northward of the Semitic, Nephite, Lamanite, Mulekite civilizations, which were down here. They don't have anything up there. So they don't have the West Sea. They don't have the isthmus. They don't have the earlier mother culture in the land northward, and several other things they're lacking. You find those only in Mesoamerica. Also, you'll find the high population, which is required. And by the way, all of North America was crawling with Semitic peoples from about 1500 BC. The Phoenicians and others were bringing people to the New World. The Minoans and the Egyptians and others were actually mining copper up in the Great Lakes region. The whole of North America had Semitic peoples of all stripes, coming from the Middle East by boat. And the ones that are told, we read about in the Book of Mormon, are the Mulekites, which landed here in the state of Veracruz, and the Lehites who had landed down here in the country of Guatemala. And they migrated toward each other and met along this river, near the upper end of the River Grijalva, or the Sidon River in the Book of Mormon. So you have the symmetry there. And to recapitulate quickly, you have to have an ancient, earlier civilization in a land northward, north of an isthmus, the isthmus being probably the most critical feature. There is no such thing in any of the other models. You have to have a West Sea that runs the entire length of the Book of Mormon region. A single West Sea, not a bunch of lakes. There are 5 Great Lakes, and I think there are 11 Finger Lakes. That won't cut it. That's nonsense. You have to have a high civilization. You have to have a land full of towers or pyramids. In the Book of Mormon, they're called towers. Today we call them pyramids. You have to have a literate society from the earliest times. The earliest ones, the Olmecs, were literate at around 2200 BC or earlier. They came from the Tower of Babel, and they were literate. They left writings. They had a writing system. The Semitic peoples had a writing system, and particularly the Mulekites and the Lehites. So that wraps it up. Thank you.